My psycho mom brings my ex-girlfriend to my wedding reception as her last-ditched effort to dump my bride that I literally just married so that I would get back together with my awful, controlling, and very toxic ex-girlfriend. But as a result, I kicked my mom and my ex-girlfriend out of my wedding reception, causing massive drama in my family and in my life. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I started seeing a woman who we will call June about 3 years ago. My mother has never really liked June for a couple of reasons. The main one being the fact that June didn't let my mom push her around. She kept firm boundaries, which I really admired, and she even helped me do the same. Now, my mom hated this, calling June controlling and wishing that I had not broken up with my previous girlfriend, who we will call Margot, who, by the way, my mom absolutely loved. But I was with Margot for 5 years and it was horrible. Margot was very controlling and manipulative and always guilted me into things I wasn't comfortable with. But thanks to support from friends and my sister, I was able to leave her. It was hard, but I had help, and my life has improved ever since. My mom was very upset with this, but relationships didn't last, so she eventually let it go until I started dating June. When June and I announced our engagement, my mom didn't freak out, which was weird considering my mom hates June. She was very calm, but I just took it like she was finally accepting this, and so I didn't think much of it. Everything was fine and smooth all the way up until the wedding. I gave both my parents +1s to the wedding since they both remarried after I graduated college, so I'm not close to their spouses, but I gave them the option of inviting them. We had a very small ceremony, just immediate family and a few close friends. After the ceremony, me and June went to take pictures and then met back up with everyone we invited to the reception, which was pretty big. And when we got there, my sister and June's best friend, who was also the maid of honor, ran up to us in a panic. And before they even said anything, I spotted it. My mom was at a table with my dad's wife, and Margot. Now, I wanted to freak out, but June kept me calm. I walked over, pulled them aside, and simply told them they had to leave. My mom tried to explain that Margot and I are soulmates, and June is just in the way of true love, but I wasn't hearing it. I just didn't care. So I got my best friends to escort them out, and I returned to the party where luckily, after a few moments, I was able to relax and enjoy it. I really didn't think this would all turn into something huge, but June and I just got back from our honeymoon where we didn't have our phones, and once I saw mine, I saw hundreds of text messages from multiple family members. They all seriously think that I was the jerk for kicking my mom out of her only son's wedding. For the record, she was there for the ceremony, but apparently was really upset she was kicked from the reception. Now, if I were to summarize some of my family's thoughts on this, some think that I could have just ignored Margot and didn't have to freak out in the way that I did, even though I was relatively calm thanks to June. But a few others, including my dad, think that I should have just kicked Margot out and let my mom stay, but after the stunt my mom pulled, I didn't want her there either. I'm now starting to second guess myself since everyone is really mad. June and my sister are on my side, but I fear my dad may be right, and I should have just let my mom stay and made Margot leave. So am I the one at fault here? What should I do? No, this is crazy. Like seriously, there is nothing good about this. You mean to tell me that your mom brought your ex-girlfriend to your wedding reception and tried to convince you as some last-ditched effort that this lady is actually your soulmate and June is just in the way? And we're talking about someone who was manipulative and controlling and just guilt-tripped you into everything and was just an awful girlfriend overall. Like, that's insane and incredibly toxic. And your mom didn't bring her to try and convince you that, oh my god, this is your soulmate. She only did that because she hates June. She wanted one last shot at you, all because she can't control you in the way that she's done before. Like, think about it. June's basically like taken a step forward and said, no, you're not going to treat me like garbage. And she's helped you do the same in the face of your awful mother. And if this is the kind of stuff that she's doing at your wedding reception, God only knows the way she's treated you earlier in life. Like, this is some crazy behavior and there is no good excuse for that. So yes, she absolutely deserved to get kicked out of your wedding reception. Both your mom and Margot can take a hike because what she did was toxic and very targeted. And in my opinion, if I was in your shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for shaming my sister after she got pregnant with someone who is categorically a complete deadbeat? Because right now she's angry with me for telling the truth, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 24-year-old female and I have a twin sister who we will call Ashley, and we've always been very close. And she started dating this guy a year ago who we will call Jared. Jared is 32 years old. I never really liked him, but my sister was head over heels in love with him and said that she wanted to marry him. Well, this summer I was at a grocery store when a woman with 3 kids came up to me me in the aisle and asked if I was Ashley. I said no and was about to say that we're twins when she cut me off and said, "Yes, you are. You're dating my deadbeat baby daddy and want to follow my pages leaving hate comments saying he chose you over us and to move on. How heartless are you?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? I am not Ashley. I'm her twin sister." And then I asked if she was talking about Jared. She then said yes and showed me the screenshots of my sister DMing her saying that Jared is now hers and that he doesn't claim those kids and all this other stuff. Now, I was very uncomfortable, but I knew in my gut that he was a weirdo. I was so shocked that my sister would not only date a deadbeat, but also proudly, even knowing how our father being a deadbeat sent us both to therapy. After this, I just walked away. And a few days later, I asked my sister, and she denied it at first, but then admitted it, saying she didn't tell me that he had kids, since I personally don't date men with kids, and she didn't want me to judge her. But I told her I was judging the fact that he's a deadbeat, not a father of any kind. As a result, we've argued about it a lot, and I've now looked at her very differently ever since. Fast forward to this week, and she invites me over. Then her and Jared tell me that she's pregnant, and that they're both so happy. But I was just sitting there silently and just kept eating. She then asked me why I was acting like a jerk, and why I'm not happy to be an aunt. And I said, well, because of this, and then I gestured over to Jared. He then got mad and said, "What's your problem with me?" And I said, "Well, it's because you're a deadbeat." After I said that, they both got quiet. He then said to me, "That doesn't mean that I'll be one for this kid." And at that point, I just laughed and got up to leave. I'm then in the hallway on the way to the elevator when my sister comes running up behind me and keeps asking why I'm being so rude while she's also sobbing. So I told her the truth. I said that she should be ashamed to be pregnant by a guy that abandoned his other kids, knowing that this is what happened to us, and that she's disgusting and a loser, and he's gonna leave her like he did his ex. She then said that I don't know the full story, and she can't believe that I would not be supportive in this time of her life, and that the baby has half my DNA too. Now, I felt bad and said I would try to be there for her, but she will realize what a mistake she made, and then I walked away. She's now texting me saying that she wants me to come back and apologize to Jared, and I just straight up refused. Well, as a result, she said that she doesn't want to speak to me if I don't apologize to them. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, I don't think you're the jerk here. I think your sister needed some tough love, and the fact that she's completely missing the point of all of this, in my opinion, shows that she might be a little too far down the river for you to help her. Because I think the original poster is 100% correct. Jared is absolutely going to leave the sister in this story, and that is such a shame because there's evidence of it happening already. And it's so funny because this guy even admits to being a deadbeat, and he says, "Oh, I'm not going to do that with these kids," basically implying him saying, "Yeah, you're right." So no, you're not the jerk for telling the truth, because honestly, your sister is about to have her heart broken. Am I the jerk for telling off my parents after they prioritized my sister once again over anything I might do with my life? Because right now I'm very frustrated, and I seriously cannot wait to move out in 2 years. Here's what happened. I'm a 16-year-old male, and my parents have me and my sister. When we were younger, things were okay, but then when she was 7 years old, she got bullied by a kid in her class. The bullying didn't last long, but afterwards she changed. She struggled with her self-esteem, and she still feels bad about herself and hates herself, and it made our parents go into protective mode. They let her choose where to go for takeout for a month afterwards, and they canceled what we had talked about for my birthday party, and instead decided that we all needed a family vacation instead. But she got to pick the location even though we went for my birthday, and I just didn't have any fun. My parents knew that I wouldn't like it. They told me that she needed this, and we needed to help pick her up. They told me I could spend time with friends another day and do something small with them. Well, that never happened even though I asked them. She was still in a bad place after a few months, and then my dad went no contact with his mom because she decided she was going to leave all of her grandkids something, but my sister, the only granddaughter, was not included, and she said some nasty stuff about boys being more special to her. And by the way, all of this was in front of my sister, which, let's be honest, is a really messed up thing to do to my sister, but it made my parents really go crazy, and they basically put my sister first in everything. It was more of the same where she got to make decisions for all of us, and I didn't get the chance to do it ever. And the few times I would make plans with friends, my sister just wanted me around, and my parents would ask me to put her first and cancel my plans. Now, a couple of times I said no, but my parents made me cancel anyways, and it just keeps getting worse too, and it still happens. A few months ago, I told them that stuff was pushing me away because I felt less important and less cared for by them. I also told them that I felt like my sister got to make too many decisions for me. I told them I was so ready to just move away and get away from them. And sure, that really hurt, but it all feels like this is my sister's family instead of mine. They said they were sorry, and they told me that they would do better. They would get my sister a better therapist to help her so we could all just move on. Well, fast forward, and I had plans to go to a Halloween party with friends next week. And my sister also had plans with friends, but after a panic attack, they canceled on her and mocked her about the panic attack. She asked our parents if we could go away that same weekend and spend some time as a family. So my parents asked me to cancel my plans and go. And they tried to apologize, but I just said forget it. I told them to forget making it up to me because I don't believe them and I'm just completely done. I'll do what they want and I'll just suck it up for 2 more years and then I'm gonna walk away because I'm so done. At that point, I would not hear my parents out and they got increasingly frustrated with me. So am I the jerk in this situation for all the things that went down? What should I do? No, you're not the jerk at all. Your parents are clearly showing favoritism towards your sister and it's negatively affecting your life. Like, why on earth should you have to stay home all because your sister is having a panic attack? Like, if they want to take care of her and help her out during these moments, then sure, that's fine. But for you to cancel all your plans all the time to stay home with your family and be there for your sister seems really overboard and like so uncalled for, because this is just super intrusive. She's already dictating everything in the house. Now she's basically deciding when you can come and go from your own home that you live in. So truly, I don't blame you for the way that you feel, because your parents are absolutely enabling this behavior and this is not fair in the slightest. My entitled manager made an all-encompassing policy that literally hindered just about everything we were trying to do at our office. So I decided to maliciously comply, showing to him once and for all exactly why this policy's stupid and eventually getting things changed back to the way that they were. Here's what happened. So I work in a small office, and just like a lot of companies, we've got that one manager who's obsessed with cutting the cost. Ours is someone that we will call Mark. Now, Mark wasn't a bad guy, but he had this laser focus on reducing expenses, no matter how small it might be. And one of his biggest obsessions was paper. He was convinced that we were blowing our budget on printing, so he implemented a new policy. Everything had to be double-sided. And this wasn't a suggestion, it was a hard rule. Mark sent an email to everyone in the office, even tagging the human resources department, to literally make this official. He said the following: "From this point forward, all printing must be double-sided. No exceptions. If we catch unnecessary single-sided printing, there will be consequences." Now, most of us didn't see it as a big deal for internal documents, but there were times that it was a problem. We regularly worked with contracts and legal forms, as well as client documents, things that, for whatever reason, often had to be single-sided. A few of us raised concerns about this with Mark, but his response was always the same: "Rules are rules. Double-sided saves us money. Stick to the policy." So this is where we decided to maliciously comply. A couple weeks later, we got a massive contract from one of our biggest clients. Let's call him Green Tech. The deal was huge, easily one of the biggest projects we've handled all year, and it came with a lot of paperwork. The instructions from Green Tech were crystal clear. The contract had to be printed single-sided to meet their legal department standards. Now, I figured this might be one of those rare cases where Mark would have made an exception, so I went to him and I explained the situation and I showed him the client's instructions. But Mark just shrugged his shoulders. He said to me, "Company policy is company policy. We're not wasting paper. You're gonna make it double-sided." Well, at this point, I knew where this was headed, but whatever, that's totally fine. I followed the rules. I printed the entire 80-page contract double-sided, and then I sent it off to the client. A couple of days later, we get an email from Green Tech, and they were not pleased. In fact, they were asking us to reprint the whole thing, single-sided this time, or they would reconsider doing business with us. When I showed the email to Mark, his face turned red. He had no choice but to backtrack and scramble to fix the mess. We ended up having to reprint the entire contract correctly and overnight ship it to Green Tech, which ended up costing us more in fees than the printing savings that Mark had been so focused on. But the best part about this was that after that fiasco, Mark quietly rolled back the no exceptions rule for double-sided printing, and we were allowed to use our judgment on a case-by-case basis. And it's funny how just a little bit of malicious compliance with bad policies can show someone exactly why they don't work in a practice. Yeah, I can't stand managers who are like, "Oh, this is a no exceptions or a zero tolerance policy," because that kind of language very rarely translates into anything like doable. If anything, it just restricts everybody around you from doing anything in the company. And then moments like this come up and you're just like, "Wait a second, I thought you said no exception." And then suddenly there's an exception and it's like, "Wait a second, I could have made this decision for us." So I love the fact that the original poster was like, "Okay, let's get petty. I'm gonna maliciously comply and make you realize why this policy is really stupid." And seriously, sometimes that's exactly what it takes. So good for you for sticking it to him and showing him exactly why this is really dumb. Because Mark in this story was going completely overboard. Am I the jerk for not letting my inheritance be used on my step and half siblings, all because I'm not going to college, and according to my mom, it would be put to better use with them instead of me? Here's here's what happened. Okay, so I'm a 17-year-old male, and I won't be going to college after high school because instead I'm going to be learning a trade. I feel like it works better for my skills and generally would be a better job for me. My mom isn't super happy about it, but she knows college has been pushed on me for almost 2 years and my mind has not changed. So she has accepted that she won't change my mind and nobody will. But here's why my post is here in the first place. My dad passed away when I was 6 years old. When he was 9, his mom passed away, and it was all due to medical negligence and malpractice. And my grandfather, uncle, and dad were awarded compensation, and it was a huge amount after her death. My grandfather split it between my dad and my uncle. He was working and received Social Security benefits for them because grandma passed away, and he knew that she'd want them to be taken care of above everything else. When my dad realized that he was sick, he made sure that money would go to me, his only kid. He set it up in a trust fund and left my grandfather and my uncle in charge of it. The money is a lot. Like, I could easily be debt-free going to college with it, and then have some left over if I was smart about it. My mom also knew about the money but couldn't access it. Now, my mom has been married to her husband for 9 years, and my parents were separated when my dad passed away. Her husband has a son who's a year younger than me, and he has a medical condition. My mom also has 2 kids with her husband. Because of my stepbrother's medical condition and his mom not being in his life or his mom's family, they don't really have any savings for his college anymore, and that's because they had to spend it on some medical stuff. And my half-siblings have absolutely nothing either. Well, my mom and her husband think that since I have the money and that I won't be using it for college, I should just give it to my stepbrother and my half-siblings, and then let them pay it back if I insist. But they say that I could just give it to them as a way to help them with their futures, and this way I would be a good brother. But you know what? I said no, and I told them that I wouldn't change my mind. My mom asked why, and I said that it's my inheritance from my dad. I could buy a house with it, or even protect my future with it. I could save it for my future kids, but I don't want to risk it not being paid back when it was my dad's way of securing my future. Well, she told me that he would want me to do this, and I asked her if she really thinks that he would want the money he got from losing his mom to be used on random kids that aren't me. She then told me that they're not random to me, so yes, she believes that he would want me to be a good brother, and she told me I should really give it more consideration. So am I at fault here for saying no? What should I do? No, you're not at fault. This is insane. Your mom is only asking for your money because she doesn't have any to give to her kids. And sure, that really sucks, but guess what? That's why student loans are created. Like, if they seriously want to go to college, then they can take out loans and go that way. Why should you have to finance their college career? It's not like you're not going to use that money. You're going to buy a house, you're going to spend it on stuff that you need. So for them to be like, oh, just use it on them, give it to them, be a good brother, this is what your dead dad would want you to do. Like, all that's just manipulation because they just don't want to pay for it. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, and the fact that your mom would pull that kind of move, in my opinion, is super toxic. Am I the jerk for not getting rid of my cats just to accommodate my pregnant best friend who's living with me at the moment? Here's what happened. I'm a 22-year-old female, and I have lived alone since the beginning of this year in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. I have 1 cat who is my pet, but I also volunteer with a local cat rescue organization. It's fairly often that I temporarily foster cats or kittens, anywhere from just 1 night to up to 2 weeks at most, and this is until we can clear them to be placed in our shelter, or with another foster family, or they can be adopted. Usually I take in 1 foster at a time, but at times it's 2 of them if they are siblings and they are bonded. Recently, this summer, my best friend, who we will call Christy, moved in with me because she was on very bad terms with her mom and stepdad, who she was previously living with, and it was safer for her to move out. Now, I of course offered her to stay with me, and she's been in the spare bedroom ever since. However, last month, Christy found out that she's pregnant from her boyfriend. They have a plan to get their own place as soon as possible, she says, but I truly don't mind if she stays here as long as she needs. Now, given that she's pregnant, when she told her mom last week, her mom wanted to come over and talk things over. So she came here on Tuesday, and they privately talked for about 2 hours. When they came out, it seemed like it was a good chat, and they were more relaxed overall, but her mom kind of turned her attention towards me and said, if Christy's going to be living here, you need to do something about the cats. And I asked what she meant, and she mentioned toxoplasmosis, the litter boxes, the number of cats here, etc. And then she started getting an attitude towards me when she said, you guys should have thought of this already. I then let her know that we did actually, and there's an extremely low to no risk of toxoplasmosis. I only have 1 cat, which is my own, in the main house, who doesn't even go into Christy's room. Christy also has 0 obligations or responsibilities for my cats, and this is something I let her know about the minute that she moved in. All the litter boxes are cleaned minimum twice daily, and they aren't even anywhere near Christy. My cat's litter box is kept in the garage, where there is a cat door corridor that she can go in and out of, and any foster cats that I have are kept in my master bedroom. It's a large bathroom, and it's adapted to be safe for a temporary foster. The only interaction Christy has is if she happens to be in the living room or in the hallway or kitchen with my cat at the same time, so contact is extremely limited. I also want to add that all cats I foster are up to date on their vaccines, they're spayed or neutered, and they're exclusively indoor cats only. After explaining all of this to Christy's mom, I told her that at most I would be willing to possibly limit the fosters I bring in, but I will absolutely not be getting rid of my cat. She then told me, well, yours is the biggest risk here. She also tried to suggest that I should stop volunteering with cats altogether up until Christy can move out or until the baby is born. Christy tried interrupting her mom to calm her down because she kept going on about how I'm being selfish, how I'm not realizing that she's carrying another life right now, and that apparently I'm not even considering the risks that are associated with it. But given their relationship, she was very on edge with her mom, which I totally understand. Now, I love my best friend, but I will not be getting rid of my pet in my own home that was here before she was. I'm willing to adapt and limit fosters, but I genuinely do not think that I'm risking anyone's health here, and I don't want to stop volunteering. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, you're definitely not the jerk. Christy's mom is being super irrational, and she's not being fair in the slightest. Like seriously, you know these cats better than anybody else, and you know that she's not going to be anywhere near those cats in the first place. So no, you are definitely not the jerk, because this is absolutely avoidable. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.